Hello Raiders, this is Mr. Miller and I got another video for you here. This is something that'll help you out a lot if you take the time to learn this now. This is going to help you for the rest of your time in school. This one's called How to Determine the Central Idea of a Passage, especially nonfiction. And what I've done is I broke it down into 3 easy steps because I like everything to be easy. So here's your 3 easy steps. After you read the passage, you're going to ask yourself, what was the passage mostly about? And then you're going to ask yourself, what does the passage say about it? So you're going to figure out what the passage was mostly about, and then you're going to figure out what did it say about that topic that it was mostly about. And then step number 3, you're going to combine these 2 answers to make a central idea. This is really simple. This is not hard. So let's look at a passage. I'm going to give you a passage and we're going to figure out what the central idea is. Okay, here's a passage. This is a short passage, but we're going to figure out what the central idea is. I'm going to show you how easy this is. I'm going to read this to you. So let me read this. It says, people who enjoy talking about first. Let me start over again on that. People enjoy talking about firsts. They like to remember their first love or their first car, but not all firsts are happy ones. Few people enjoy recalling the firsts that are bad. One of history's bad but important firsts was the first car accident. Autos were still young when it happened. The crash took place in New York City. The year was 1896. The month was May. A man from Massachusetts was visiting the city in his new car. At the time, bicycle riders were still trying to get used to the new set of wheels on the road. No one is sure who was at fault. In any case, the bike and the car collided. The man on the bike was injured. The driver of the car had to stay in jail and wait for the hospital report on the bike rider. Luckily, the rider was not killed. 3 years later, another automobile first took place. The scene was again New York City. A real estate broker named Henry Bliss stepped off a streetcar. He was hit by a passing car. Once again, no one is sure just how it happened or whose fault it was. The driver of the car was put in jail. Poor Mr. Bliss became the first person to die in a car accident. Okay, so we read our passage. Now we go to our 3 easy steps. First one is, what was this passage mostly about? So we got to determine that. So basically, you can answer that now, what is it most about? Or you can go back if you need to and look at what was repeated. What was repeated a lot? Let's look at what was repeated. One thing I noticed was repeated a lot was the word first. There's first there. There's first there. There's first here. There's firsts. Look at all these firsts. They're everywhere. I'm going to use this. Oh my goodness. Look at all these firsts. That's a lot of firsts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 firsts. So first is definitely going to be part of our topic, figuring out what it was mainly about. Another word I see a lot in here is accident. Lots of accident. Accident. Here's the word it. Now it is a pronoun and it has an antecedent. So an antecedent is what it is referring to. And in this case, it is referring to accident. So accident is the antecedent to it. So we can circle that as because it's talking about the accident. Let's see what else we got. Any more accident? There's crash. Crash is an accident. We have collide over here. That's an accident. And then you got the word hit down here at the bottom in the last paragraph there. And then the very last word is accident. So you can put all this together and you determine that the topic is first auto accidents and just two of them. There was just two first auto accidents. That's what it was mainly about. Two of the first auto accidents. Now we got to answer the next question. What does the passage say about the first accidents? So if we look at this again and you read, let's say the first paragraph, it says people enjoy talking about firsts. They like to remember their first love, their first car, but not all firsts are happy ones. That right there, I think, is a big giveaway on what this is about, what it's saying about these first accidents. So what do you think? Do you think it's saying that the two first accidents were not happy? That's what I think. I think that's part of the what it's saying about the first accidents. They weren't happy ones. Okay, so it says, what is it saying about the first accidents? They were two very unhappy firsts. Now you go to step 3. You combine these things. You combine these two to come up with a sentence that tells us what the central idea is. And here's what I came up with. The first car accident and the first death from a car accident are two very unhappy firsts. Now, it doesn't have to be exactly like that. You could just say the first two car accidents were very unhappy firsts, or two unhappy firsts are the first car accidents. You could say that. You don't have to be, the central idea doesn't have to be exactly worded the same for everyone. So as long as you have something like that, as long as you come up with something like that. All right, now what I want you to do is I want you to try. You try it. All right, here's a passage. I'll read this one for you. I'll read it to you. But the rest of them you're going to have to read yourself, okay? So as I read this, think about, what is this passage mostly about? It says, sports have been ruled by the weather. Sports have all, let me start over again. Sports have always been ruled by the weather. Rain, sleet, snow, and cold called the plays. Baseball fans have often sat in the rain without cover, waiting for the sun to come out and the game to begin. Football lovers sometimes took days to warm up after sitting through the freezing cold Sunday game. For both sports fans, the players, for both sports fans and the players, the Dome Stadium was like something out of a dream. Let me start over again. Maybe I can edit this. Sports have always been ruled by the weather. Rain, sleet, and snow. Let me start over again. Sports have always been ruled by the weather. Rain, sleet, snow, and cold called the plays. Baseball fans have often sat in the rain without cover, waiting for the sun to come out and the game to begin. Football lovers sometimes took days to warm up after sitting through a freezing cold Sunday game. For both sports fans and players, the Dome Stadium was like something out of a dream. A huge plastic bubble kept out rain and snow. There was heat to keep things comfortable year-round. Dome stadiums have clearly changed the course of sports. Still, they did have their problems at first. Most of these problems were discovered and solved at the Houston Astrodome. This was the world's first stadium with a lid. For the fans, it was great, but there was some problems for the players. Baseball outfielders had the most difficult time. They had to learn to catch in a field with a roof. At first, it was almost as difficult as playing in the dark. The panels of the roof were light-colored to let the sunlight in. Sunlight was needed to keep the grass on the field alive. But the light roof blended too well with the white baseball. Fly balls seemed to drop out of nowhere. Even skilled fielders were making errors. Finally, the decision was made to paint the panels of the roof dark. The problem was solved. But what about the grass? Well, the real grass was dug up and replaced with AstroTurf. Alright, so there is our passage. We read it. Now we got to do our first. What was it mainly about? You can look at it here again if you like. What was it mainly about? What do you see in there? A lot. I think what it was mainly about was dome stadiums. That's what it seemed to be about, because that's what it talked about. The whole passage was about these dome stadiums. So dome stadiums is what it was about. And then what does it say about the dome stadiums? Well, what it says is that they made it possible for sports to be played in any weather. That's what it was talking about. That's what it mainly said about it. That's what it said about it, really. So, made it possible for sports to be played in any weather. Now we're going to combine these two, and you got the Dome Stadium made it possible for sports to be played in any weather. All right, why don't you try it again? I'm going to put the passage up there, and I'm going to let you read it. All right, so here's the passage. Go ahead and pause this video and read it right now. All right, look at that. How'd you like that? This guy never slept. Well, at least that's what it says. He never slept. That's interesting. All right, so what was the passage mostly about? I say it's mostly about Al Harpin's sleepless life. He's talking about how he never slept. And what does it say about this topic? I'm going to put the passage up here again if you want to read it. Or pause the video right now if you want to read it real fast again to figure out what it says about Al Harpin's sleepless life. Okay, did you get it? Let's see how well you did. What does it say about Al Harpin? He stayed alive without ever sleeping. Alright, so let's put these two together to make our central idea. Al Harpin managed to stay alive without ever sleeping. So how did you do? Now remember, it doesn't have to be just like that. It doesn't have to be just like mine, worded exactly like it. Is it close? You know, if it's close, good job. You did a good job. You're getting there. If it's not close, don't worry about it. We're going to practice a lot. We're going to practice a lot. In fact, let's practice some more right now. Okay, here's another passage. I'm going to do the same thing. You read it. All right, you read this. Pause the video. All right, what do you think about that? A little mythology lesson there for you. So what did you think it was mostly about? All right, I know you see the word Sphinx in there a lot. Is it mainly about the Sphinx? Or is it mainly about... It is about the Sphinx, but what else is it about? It's about that riddle. It's about that riddle. So I would say that the topic of this, or the thing that this passage is mainly about, is the Sphinx and its riddle. What does it say about the Sphinx and its riddle? I'm going to put the passage back up there. You pause it right now if you need to look at it again and read it again. See if you can figure out what exactly does it say about the Sphinx and the riddle. All right, did you get it? What does it say about the Sphinx and the riddle? This one's a little bit, I think this might be a little difficult. Only Oedipus could answer the riddle. All right, so let's put it together and make our central idea. The Sphinx asked a riddle that only Oedipus could answer. That's what I think the main idea is. Did you do well on that one? Were you close? Hey, if you're close, great, good job. You're getting it. You're getting it. But if you didn't get it, don't get upset. All right, this is something you got to practice. You got to practice. You can learn anything if you just practice. Okay. Let's try another one. All right, I'll put it up here. You go ahead and read it. While you're reading it, think about what is this passage mostly about. All right. What is this passage mostly about? That's interesting. Guy getting swallowed by a whale. I don't know. So what is this passage mostly about? Well, it's about a man who was swallowed by a whale and lived. What does it say about this topic? What does it say about that? What does it say about the man who was almost swallowed by a whale and lived? Well, it might be a little tough, but Doesn't say much about him at all. It just tells you who he is. Uh-oh. Oh, darn it. It just tells you who he is. So look at it. This is, yeah. It just tells you who he is. You combine those two, and then you got your answer. James Bartley was swallowed by a whale and lived. And I think this is the last one. Try this one out. Go ahead and pause the video and read and think about what is this passage mostly about. Alright, what do you think? Are you right-handed or left-handed? I'm right-handed, so this doesn't really apply to me, but that's pretty crazy what they did to those left-handed people. I used to think they were evil. That's funny. Alright, what's this passage mainly about? We know it's about left-handed people, right? But that's not what it was mainly about. It was mainly about what? What about the left-handed people? It really wasn't anything about them at all. It was about attitudes towards left-handed people, right? You might not have got the same thing. You might have got something close to that. And if you didn't get it right, don't worry about it. We're going to get this. We're going to get this. What does it say about that, Tom? What does it say about the attitudes about left-handed people? Go ahead and pause it if you need to look. If you want to read it again, go ahead and pause it. Alright, what did it say about them? It just basically said that throughout history they have been treated poorly. And if we combine these two statements here, we get this. Throughout history, left-handed people have been treated poorly. Alright, one more. I thought that the other one was the last one. I guess this is the last one. Oh, this one's really interesting. Okay, go ahead and read this. You'll like this one. Read this and think about what is it mainly about. Go ahead and pause it. Alright, now that's crazy. Alright, this lady is crazy. So what do you think it's mainly about? I would say Hetty Green. It's about the woman. That's what it's mainly about. And what does it say about this woman? If you want to read it again, go ahead and pause it and read it. Alright, what does it say about her? It says that she was rich, but she lived like a poor person. Now we combine those two answers, we combine those two statements, and we get our central idea. And the central idea is Hetty Green was rich, but she lived like a poor person. See, this is not too difficult. You're going to get this down. All right, so keep practicing. If you need more practice over this, you let me know. Just tell me that you need more practice. I'll make another video of maybe 5 more of these on there, and we can practice them. And we can keep practicing them until we get them right. But better, we're going to keep practicing until we can't get them wrong. That's when you really know something, is when you can't get it wrong. All right? And if you ain't getting this, don't worry. You're going to get it. Just be patient with yourself. All right. I guess until the next time I make another video, I'll see you later.